Hey, Scott Jordan and Mark Warner here for Jancast, another Jancast, number 167 for April 25th, 2024. Mark Warner, haven't seen you physically in a while. We've both been traveling all over the place, right?
A lot of traveling. I was down in Virginia, actually Newport News, Virginia, doing some certification classes, and a heavy duty shout out to Sharon Boyd, who put it all together. So, hey, Sharon, thanks for the hospitality. And that was a working trip.
Yep.
And you did a trip to North Carolina, and you were working too on R&D.
All of my trips are working, Mark.
Yes, that's true.
We're just not sure what I'm working on, right? But yeah, everybody thought I was on vacation, but I really wasn't. I was working away on. We've got a couple new products that we've been working on for a while, so doing some actual product testing, not on my foil board or stuff like that, but writing a bunch of specifications and marketing stuff. Talking to Nikki Jordan about email campaigns. Hey, I know what we forgot to put in the show notes, Mark. How about that guy from our Earth Day celebration from whatever it was, 2014, huh?
Yes, he reminds me of somebody. I can't remember who.
His hair's a little long. I would like to have hair like that, boy, but yeah, those were the good old days.
Yep. And Earth Day kind of came and went. The big issue on Earth Day was kind of a shift in the game from tree hugging to, war on plastics, I guess.
Yeah.
So
yeah, plastics, actually, that's not in the show notes either, but man, plastics are literally in everything, right?
Yeah.
Don't drink water. Don't drink water out of a water bottle, because apparently the bottled water has plastic in the water, which it's a plastic bottle, isn't it?
So the crazy thing is, it was just indicative that to be aware that there are threats all around us all the time. In fact, I just did a webcast with Dr. Charles Gerba, and he was talking about threats around us all the time.
Oh my gosh!
Cautioned us big time not to park our toothbrush near the toilet due to
I tuned into that one, and we'll put in the show notes if there's going to be a link for people that didn't attend the actual webinar yesterday. But oh my gosh, that was kind of some scary topics he covered.
Well, for those that don't know, Dr. Charles Gerba is a professor of environmental microbiology at the University of Arizona, and is in the Department of Epidemiology, Biostatistics, and Environmental Science.
Yep.
There's a mouthful. Can you imagine that on a business card? Like, it's got to be 16 lines.
When somebody asks them, so what do you do? Let's sit down and have a chat.
I think one of the coolest things is that I know he was on TED Talks, and he's been on like TV a lot. So it was I was quite grateful and humbled to be able to co-present along with a gentleman of that stature. So hey, shout out to you.
Yeah. So let's just touch base on a couple of the key points that he talked about. The skanky one, if that's the appropriate word, is the toothbrush one.
Yes,
so you give it to us, Mark.
Yeah, so when you park your toothbrush too close to the toilet, you get a plume during the flush, and the plume kicks up airborne particulates that precipitate down on all surfaces within a couple feet.
Right.
And so, the comment was, don't park your toothbrush within a couple feet of
Well, I think
toilet.
he said something along the lines that you might as well stick your toothbrush in the toilet, because that's how much exposure it's getting. It's like, oh boy, that's all we need, right?
It's things you hear you can't unhear, right?
And I changed my positioning on my toothbrush, but yeah, there's all kinds of stuff. So we got to get Dr. Gerber on the show, because I want to delve into more of that stuff, because that's right up our alley,
It surely is. And he had all kinds of stories. He was even talking about things like when you stomp on the carpet and the dust kicks up.
Yeah, I hadn't heard that one before.
Actually kicking up is pathogens that you inhale later. And I was like, oh my goodness.
Yeah, I guess it would be a positive thing to have them on, just so we could get all the stuff that we don't know about, and then we'll be afraid to go in a building or touch a what I mean, one of the ones was if you're thinking about the best place to go to the bathroom, apparently at work is better than at home, because at work they clean the bathrooms on a regular basis. At home, you only clean your bathroom like once a week. Full disclosure, I probably maybe not once a week, but selectively. But I never heard about that. The general theory is, oh, you don't want to go to the bathroom at work. You want to do that someplace else.
You know, one of the conversations I had with him was he was talking about household stuff, and he's done a lot of studies in households. And he said, you know, it's safer to lick the toilet seat than to lick the kitchen sponge.
Oh,
and
yeah,
I was
right,
like, what? So he said, yeah, the filthiest thing in anybody's house is their kitchen sponge that's used to wipe down your dishes, just because it's an environment that allows everything to colonize and populate. And
Yeah, well, you said you're
safer to
cleaning,
lick the toilet seat. And I was like, oh,
you're cleaning raw meat off of plates and stuff. Well, and it's ended up on your sponge. Then it's not like you clean your sponge. I mean, the cool smart thing for sponges is when you run your dishwasher, you put the sponge in the dishwasher.
Yeah.
I don't know. We should ask them. I don't know. It's probably some fallacy. It's like, oh, that's even worse. You don't want to do that, Scott.
Well, the crazy thing is, you know, how much is alive in that sponge. I mean, apparently, Scott, these pathogenic microorganisms can live and thrive almost anywhere.
Yes. Speaking of news, so I saw this one over the weekend, and the show title should be "It's Alive." So never really thought about it, but the International Space Station, it's been up there for a long time, and I never really thought about it. I wonder if they've got some Citra RX, some RX-75. That was a blatant product plug. I believe we shipped that up on the last shuttle via SpaceX, but it's like, I wonder how often they're cleaning their bathroom up there, huh?
Well, I think the article said it was kind of a uniquely gross environment was the term.
Yes. Yeah, so the news was, but according to a new NASA study, there's stuff growing, and that is straight up alien-like. So the press release says when scientists from the Jet Propulsion Lab looked at samples of the drug-resistant you can say this better than me, Mark.
Enterobacter.
Bacteria found on the orbital outpost. That's a nice way of putting it. They found that the strains had actually mutated into something that literally doesn't exist on Earth. Hey, there you go. That's a reason to be an astronaut, right? I want to get up to the space station.
Is that the reason why we have the emerging pathogen claim now on our disinfectants, right? It's if they are mutating in space into alien life forms,
Yeah. The strains were able to viably persist in the ISS over time in significant abundance. Yeah, and what's even crazier was apparently not only did it coexisted with multiple other microorganisms, it also demonstrated in some cases that helped those organisms survive. Hey, there's good news.
Bad bugs helping other bad bugs.
Yeah, wow. So
not good.
Yeah, so I don't know if I ever had grandchildren. I'm going to say I don't think you want to be an astronaut.
Yeah, right. I mean, actually, just hearing about that makes you wonder what happens if you get infected by that and you end up back on planet Earth, and they're like, "Oh, sorry, dude, it came from space. That's alien."
We haven't seen this one before.
Yeah,
so they'll be instead of talking about it sneaking out of Wuhan, it'll be coming down the next time a capsule comes down, right?
So is there a new name for that kind of pathogen now?
Space Jam. Space Jam the pathogen. Yeah.
Space Jam pathogens.
Space Jam #2 or something.
So, the World Health Organization just rolled out a whole bunch of new terms. And I think they need to add Space Jam pathogens to their new list of terms. Did you see the new list of terms they had?
Yeah, there's a good one.
They felt that airborne pathogen was not defining enough.
Yeah.
So, there's airborne transmission. We know that about from COVID and SARS-CoV-2 and, people sneezing. But direct deposition means that it precipitates kind of out of the air and out of people. So, that was kind of another one. And then indirect contact transmission. I'm thinking this probably has something to do with things that, again, precipitate out of the air, end up on surfaces that you can come in. Uh, uh, you have the potential to inhale.
Yeah.
And dust fits in that category, by the way. We know SARS-CoV-2 can harbor on large airborne dust deposits, right?
Yeah.
So that I think fits that. Direct contact transmission. Again, if it precipitates, you touch it. Now you're putting it all over your face. And then item number 5, Scott, it's right there. Space Jam pathogens. It's right on the World Health Organization's list.
I want to know what they're I want to know what they're telling those astronauts up there about this. What do you think they were thinking when you did a study and what? It's mutated? It's like, how's that work for me? Huh? I don't know. Seems like there's a bunch of backroom discussions about this whole thing before it got revealed. They probably had to reveal the information because it's like public, it's in the public domain or something. They couldn't say, well, we just maybe we shouldn't tell anybody about this study. They probably are required by law to do it.
Alien microbes growing on on the ISS.
Does make you wonder.
It does. And other things that make you wonder. There's stuff out going on, Scott, that just doesn't make any sense at all. Yep. Did you hear what was happening in California?
Other than it's a different world and it's a different nation and they do everything differently than everybody else.
Well, they just put out a proposition to limit the amount of square feet that a person can clean to 2,000 square feet an hour, which is, I think the fisherman's term for that is that it's bass awkward, because all the equipment manufacturers in the Jancast industry are pushing to increase productivity rates by enhancing the equipment. Think of an auto scrubber versus a mop and bucket. An auto scrubber will do 5,000 square feet an hour. So in California, they're only allowed to work for about 15, 20 minutes, and they got to take a 40-minute break before they can start up again. Or think about an airport that's all carpet and they're using a 200,000 square foot an hour battery operated wide area sweeper. Scott, they can only work for about 5 minutes and then they got to take a 55-minute break.
I don't understand how anybody in their right mind would come up with something like this, because wouldn't it depend upon, I mean, it'd be different if it was manual cleaning, like with a mop, right? But yeah, the whole point of the equipment is to speed the thing up. But I mean, it doesn't make any sense at all. As to why would somebody subject to a production rate during a shift that exceeds an average of 2,000 square feet per hour of work? That's the most ridiculous thing I've heard of. The good news is it's not passed yet, right?
Well, it's the proposition. I guess it passed halfway through the government in California and not the other half yet. But just the fact that they're talking that way tells you they know nothing about the cleaning industry. And now they're trying to regulate it based on 2,000 square feet an hour and have no idea that there's equipment out there that makes life easier, not harder for the worker, and has much, much higher productivity rate. And in these days, everybody's trying to look at staff limitations, and the only way to overcome staffing limitations, if you've got a task frequency assignment you've got to try to hit to keep a building clean, only way around that is to get high productivity equipment, things like backpack vacs and auto scrubbers and battery powered wide area sweepers and all the things that actually make life easier, not harder. But this whole new proposition flies in the face of that. And it tells me that the people that proposed it have no idea of what's happening in the cleaning industry, yet they want to try to regulate it. So just kind of a stunning statement.
If Bill Belick was still at the ISSA, we'd send this over the bill and say, we should lobby against this, Bill. What are we going to do about it? So we should probably find out who's taking Bill's place at ISSA to handle it.
Not only that, but we could do a post-retirement reach out to Bill himself.
There you go.
Bill would probably laugh
I
at
think
this.
Bill's on the golf course every day, you know. Come on.
Well, at some point he's got to go home and take a nap.
Well, I got another California one before we sign off here, and I don't want to get I don't know if I should say this or not, but because it involves something we're working on. So we sell products in California, specifically EPA registered products. So in California, you have to pay a pretty substantial amount of money to just be able to sell a EPA registered product in California. And I think it's $1,700 or something like that. I'll put it in the show notes. But it's
Per
not cheap.
product. And
Yeah, and that's just to get it started, right? So when you go to either a brand new product, or in our case, we're updating our labels because all the EPA labels are updated on a fairly regular basis since COVID. So you have to submit a label to get it passed by the people in California to say it's okay to sell in California. Well, any other state, you just send that in. And a lot of states, you don't even have to send a label in. It's really a money-making thing. Different states charge different amounts. Well, California charges you a flat amount, and then you also have to pay on a quarterly fee to the state of California based on the dollar value of what you sell. And if it's an agricultural product, they also keep track of the gallons, but they're really interested in the money. So there's a factor that's applied. So if I sell $10,000 worth of stuff in a quarter, I have to pay a fee on that $10,000 in addition to my other fee. So you want to update a label, you send the label off to them. It takes literally 6 to 8 months for them to approve you to be able to sell it. So what that means in our case, if we want to use an updated label for everything other than California, and in California separate, I have to keep 2 separate inventories of product. One with the California label that's waiting on their 6 to 8 month period, and another one for all the other states that all they want is money. So the newest thing that just came out yesterday is they're proposing raising that fee, the initial fee and the monthly fee, because it's taken them so long to do the review. They need more money to hire more people to be able to do it. And when you do get it, when you do get it approved, it very proudly states how many days it took for your approval, which is a good thing if it was like 10. But when it says like 140 days, it's like, geez, you really don't want to be telling people it took 140 days to get your label reviewed. So another unusual thing from the nation of California.
Working it from the other direction, they had to figure out how to employ more people. So they slowed down the process so that they would have to hire more people, which means that they can raise the rates.
Yes.
That's not how things are supposed to work.
No, that's not the way it's supposed to work. So that's all the news fit the print. We're going to work on getting Dr. Gerber on as a future guest so he can tell us all the other stuff that we don't know about in personal hygiene as far as germs and all that. But hey, if you want to be a guest on Jancast, drop us a note. We'd be glad to hear from you, and we're always looking for new guests as well, right, Mark?
You bet. Absolutely.
Yep. So have a good one, and hope that everybody enjoyed the show. And if you haven't seen that guy from Earth Day, go to the Bullen site. It'll be there. I'll put a link in the show notes for it. Don't know who that guy is, but he's pretty damn impressive.
Well, thanks, everybody.
Okay. See y'all.
Bye.